What's up, guys? Welcome to Starting Off Cinemas, and that's Cinemas with an S. And today I'll be giving you my review on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Now, before I begin, if you're new to this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment on the section below. And most importantly, watch. Here we go. So, as a bass guitarist for a garage band, the Sex Bomb, Scott Pilgrim has never had trouble getting a girl. Usually the problem is getting rid of them. But when Ramona Flowers skates into his heart, he finds she has the most troublesome baggage of all. An army of exes who will stop at nothing to eliminate him from her list of suitors. So, based on the graphic novel by Brian Lee O'Malley, the story of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World combines many different elements from volumes 1 through 6 in the Scott Pilgrim book series that have lasted from 2004 to 2010. So basically, there are 6 books. If you're a Scott Pilgrim fan, you pretty much already know this, but if you're not, let me explain. There are 6 books, Scott Pilgrim. And this one movie takes all those 6 books and turns and combines it and packs it all into one movie. So like the first book saw him fighting Matthew Patel, and then books 2, 3, books from 2 to 5 saw him fighting everybody in between, like X's number 1, number 2 through X number 6. There's 7 of them. And I guess the last book saw him fighting Gideon Graves, which is the biggest and the one that in charge of all of the X's. But of course, the last book came out shortly before the movie did. So, in spite of the fact that it is based off of a graphic novel, I love how the movie has a video game type of tone. Like, even though this is based off of a graphic novel, they keep first of all, the animation. The animation in the book is pretty much based off of a 16-bit, an 8-bit video game. Like with the sound effects and the character designs and the anime character looks, with the epic narration by Bill Hader himself and slick visuals both during the fight scenes and the slower, more casual moments like the first date with Ramona. So like, as a whole, the movie makes it feel like a video game, like they're living in a video game world. But aside from having cool action, a bittersweet romance, and an awkwardly repetitive comedy, the main theme of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is relationships, just as it is in the books. Now, throughout the film, Scott mentions how he has a tendency to dump the person he's in a relationship with. And this includes Kim, the hot redhead on drums, Knives, Chau, the Asian girl that he's currently dating, the high schooler, and Envy Adams, Brie Larson's character. This is one of the things that makes Scott Pilgrim's world so compelling. Because, first of all, the target audience for these books were young adults. Because the writer knows that young adults, we all go through this. I'm not 20 yet, but listen to me. Young adults, we all go through this. Whether you want to admit it or not, we all go through this. Especially like young female adults. Like, we all go through breakups at some point in time. And Scott in this movie fails to understand that even if the breakup doesn't bother him just as much as he does, just as much as the person he's dating, because he's a pretty laid back person, somebody can and will still get their heart broken. The characters. Oh my God. One of the things I love about Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is each of the characters. Now, I know I say this in a lot of reviews, but I just love the characters in these movies I watch. They're great. They're memorable. They're relatable. Now, while most of the characters look exactly the same from the graphic novels, and there are other characters from the books that were left out of the film, each of them are either awkward or cool, and both Scott and Ramona are the flip side of each other. I love how even though Scott Pilgrim and Ramona Flowers are 2 very different individuals, whether he's Canadian, she's American, or he's awkward and she's cool, but you know what they say, opposites attract. But the one thing that makes Scott and Ramona so connected is the fact that despite they're 2 very different people, how he's open, it's kind of ironic because he's awkward but open, and she's cool but she's independent, she's laid back. But the one thing that makes them so connected is the fact that they both had a lot of relationships and a lot of breakups. However, Scott finds getting out of a relationship much harder than getting in one, especially with Knives, because that girl, she's a sweet girl. She loves him so much. And the minute he sees Ramona Flowers, he's trying to find some great way to bail on this girl and get with her. And this is what breaks her heart. And this is what makes her do too much or take it too far. And Ramona has dumped each of her exes with ease, like without a problem. She could just say, I don't want to see you anymore. She doesn't stutter. She doesn't hesitate. Because I know it's hard. It's hard when you're trying to explain to somebody, this is a little personal, but when you're trying to explain to somebody that you don't want to be with them anymore, you kind of take a very long time because it's hard to get it out. But see, Ramona can just do it without a problem, without hesitation. And that is where the rest of the plot comes into play. The League of Seven Evil Exes, which consists of Matthew Patel, the martial artist, Lucas Lee, the stunt double, Todd Ingram, everybody's favorite vegan, Roxy Ritchie, the female ex, the Caddy and Nige twins, the silent but deadly musicians, and Gideon Graves, the one who is cocky in every sense of the word. They really offer, each of these evil exes really offers motivation for Scott to pursue and fight for the one thing that he's started to love. And this is a metaphor in real life. Like when you love somebody, there's going to be obstacles. It's not going to be easy. No relationship is easy. I get that. Now I get it, even though I'm not in a relationship, but I can see everybody that I know who's in a relationship, they all have obstacles. They do. They got to fight. And that's how they continue to be with the person that they are today. But they are also like 7 different layers of pain of the past for Ramona as she witnesses these exes coming back into her life, especially Gideon Graves. Because Gideon Graves is pretty much like a manipulator. Like literally she has like this microchip on the back of her neck that she can't resist. That makes it hard for her to resist. Now, aside from the main conflict between Scott and Ramona, the 7 evil exes, each of the side characters give the movie a very high school romantic comedy kind of vibe. Wallace, Scott's gay roommate, feels more like a roommate than just somebody to help get to Ramona. It's crazy. This man walks in the same room with Wallace. In his mind, every she turns into a he. Like Scott says, I think she's the girl of my dreams. And Wallace like, well, I think he's the man of my dreams. The members of the band Sex Bhabha, Steven Stills, Kim, and Neil are funny in a way. Steven is very hyperbolic when it comes to the band's success. Like, do we rock or do we suck? We got to do it for the band. Kim is sarcastic about everything, and Neil is just Neil. Now, the other characters like Stacey Pilgrim and Julie Powers, they're all great. They're all funny. They're all played by well-known actors that we've seen in other comedies. So it's a pretty great ensemble. And plus, let's not mention the fact that we got 2 MCU stars in this. We got Captain Rogers and Captain Marvel, Brie Larson and Chris Evans as Lucas Lee and Envy Adams. It's crazy how many Marvel actors star in other movies together before they're in that individual franchise. Rotten Tomatoes gives Scott Pilgrim vs. the World 82% score. Now, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is just one of many great live-action adaptations of a graphic novel with stylized visuals, edgy action, cheesy but repetitive one-liners, but it works. And the reason why those one-liners work is because it fits the way Scott Pilgrim is as a character. Because if he's going to be laid back, his jokes are going to be laid back too. They're not going to be genius, or they're not going to just be natural jokes that come out of the average comedian's mouth. And constant reminders of how much emotional turmoil and pressure the average young adult has to face with certain relationships. So for that, I will give Scott Pilgrim vs. the World 8.8 SOs out of 10. So that is my review on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. If you have not seen it, I encourage you to go see it. This movie is fire. And if you have seen it, I hope you love it just as much as I did. Because it's about to be the 10-year anniversary on August 13th. This movie came out on August 13th. This movie is going to come out 10 years ago. So it's been 10 years for this movie. So that's pretty good. They recently had a reunion on YouTube. You can actually check that out on YouTube. But I'll see you guys next time with my next video. Shazay!